So how does one map their skills to becoming a value creator in the analytics translation process? Let's get into that. We start with the strategic blueprint and value construction that will inform the objectives, desired outputs, and KPIs. The business rationale is the value construct in concept form. What value will be created by the business for the customer, which in turn will result in value for itself. A business case is the value construct mapped in business plan format. The objective of the business case is to outline the feasibility of the value construct, mainly in financial terms, so that the business can determine the required investment and assess if the return on that investment is likely to make sense. In the past, the business case used to have a lot of assumptions built into it. In the data-driven age, there's a lot of data available to ensure that there's some level of certainty built into the model, although that doesn't always guarantee success. So let's start by going back to the loyalty program to illustrate and unpack how old world order skills can be transferred to the new data-driven age. Just a reminder that the loyalty program is a customer management initiative, and at this point we're still on the strategic layer. One might think there isn't much data work that needs to happen at this layer, but that's not necessarily true. The development of the business case happens at this layer, so there will be a few data points that would need to be considered when building this business case. So let's say the business case requires the business to invest X amount of money on building the loyalty program computation engine into its data ecosystem. On top of that, the KPI of reward attractiveness requires that the business absorb Y amount of cost in order to give Z amount of money to customers in the form of rewards. The justification for the investment is that the resultant increased customer loyalty will result in X increase in sales that will sustainably grow with growing market share. In this process, commercial management is required for consideration of potential partners and stakeholders, so that a sense of the costs involved to procure what is required from these partners can be included in the business case to make it more sound. Enter product management. At this point, the iterative process of refining the value construct starts. The data-driven product manager is one that can use insights to map out credible personas from which individual customer personalization can be done. The reverse process then involves using personalization insights, which, with an effective analytics or learning engine, should output data-backed customer persona groups. These persona groups are what the product manager should use to map profitable customer value enhancements, and so the iterative process continues. The data-driven persona groups are ever evolving so as to ensure that the business offering evolves with the loyal customer base as well as the market. An effective product manager in the data-driven age is one that can effectively use insights to drive product profitability. Features management becomes persona management. For example, in the rewards computation process, the personas become important because they determine which permutations would be the most effective in driving the objective of the program. Every persona group will have a list of tier permutations that appeals more to them. It may even be necessary to map out loyalty-specific persona groups based on behavior. Which elements of behaviors will make out the data points that will make up the KPIs for the different tiers of the loyalty program? An effective product manager in the data-driven age is able to configure a persona to KPI process, complete with data points. Right, now for the business analysts, traditionally the right hand of the product manager. There are two layers here, the strategy execution layer and the technology implementation layer. The strategy execution layer business analysis will deal with the analysis work of mapping out the computation processes and identifying the persona behavioral attributes that will directly drive the right outputs produced from each computation tier. This is at the core of translation work. The technology implementation layer will then use this blueprint to identify the data points and source systems and facilitate the process of architecture and system flows to bring that strategy execution blueprint to life. There are underlying systems underneath each of the steps in customer journeys involved in the process of computing the loyalty tiers and associated outcomes. There are also billing processes that underlie the customer processes or journeys, which produce data that is an input to the loyalty computation process, but are not necessarily captured in the behavioral and persona-based tiers computation blueprint in the form that can directly lead to obvious identification of data points. The process then unfolds as it would in an effective technical solution development process. Bear in mind that most parts in this process are iterative. It's not necessarily as linear as depicted here. And we're done. This is the point where you go and become an active member of the opportunity leveraging community in the ever fascinating data-driven era. Cheers for now.